I want to just clarify one point, that the central government is currently examining this bill in a greater detail. In fact, in that endeavor itself, we had called this meeting of all the stakeholders. But what is important, that we all should realize that everybody, whatever, we always have a special liking for our own. And I cannot just take the bill to the parliament just because it has so much of effort has gone into it. I am really appreciative of the effort point, no doubt about it. In fact, we must also realize that in the present constitutional framework in which we operate, the fairer you want, and you can have a projection based on that. So basically, rather than that, we are actually going into real milestones of changes that we will be introducing. And if they are really introducing the changes, and it is not possible to introduce the changes without a support from the centre, then we will give that. But you are absolutely right. And in fact, some of the conditionality that we are stipulating are also will put certain additional obligations on the part of the states. And one more important thing, and that's why, which is a very valid point which you have said, is that what's an insurance against not fulfilling the promise? I think that could come only from, in a democracy, from the average people, average consumer, wanting to demand that, he wants that power. In fact, some of the states which are also like to go for election, power is a major election issue. Not free power, but good power, quality power is an election issue. That's a good thing as possible. So that a state which would like to falter over a period of time, the people themselves will say, and because we have this exercise, and one of the organization has come out with a ranking of the SCBs and the states as far the reforms are concerned. So this type of awareness will also bring in a change. But what you are saying is absolutely right. It's a very great risk we have to take, but right now we have no other choice.
Thank you.
Very, very radical changes. Actually, if you ask me, given that they are running current deficits at present, it requires very radical changes in order to get out of those current deficits to a system that is, to a position that is sustainable. So some different mechanism will have to be found for the outstanding dues. The issue really is, there are only four stakeholders, who can actually take the hit. I mean, solution number one is that the central public sector utilities are told that, I'm afraid the boards are bankrupt, you aren't going to recover your dues. This will be a disastrous outcome because it's not really a commercial type of relationship. And if that were to happen, then the central electricity utilities would themselves become financially bankrupt and collapse. So I don't think that's feasible. There's no justification really for the central government taking over these dues because it has nothing whatever to do with the system. I mean, the real choice is, should the dues remain with the state electricity boards and be restructured over some period of time, or should the dues be taken over by the state governments and then be paid out over some period of time? It is clear that, you can do both. State electricity dues can always be guaranteed by the state government. That has been the practice in some cases. In other cases, the state government itself has taken over the dues. To my mind, it's a much cleaner solution that the state governments actually take over the dues. We then decide what the financial engineering of that is, whether the relevant bonds, etc., that are issued, what are the terms, how liquid are they, can the central electricity utilities borrow against those? And these are issues that we are looking at. We've taken no view on it. So quite frankly, if there's anyone in this group that wants to make suggestions to us on what they think would be the best way of handling it, we would be very willing to listen. I think one has to recognize that merely solving past dues with nothing in return having been provided would be an
Your expectations about the reforms of the state?
We have already decided on 3rd of March, after the meeting of the chief ministers of the various states, that we will be helping the states to restructure. And in fact, for restructuring, we had appointed a committee within 1 hour of the chief ministers conference being over. Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia is the chairman of the committee which is looking into all aspects of restructuring of the state's finances. And the success of reforms in distribution in power sector would be possible only when the states also are in a position when they are prepared to come forward and actually change it in the short possible time, then how their liabilities also can be properly restructured. So we are looking into all this holistic way of reforms, and I'm very confident that within the next few weeks We'll be ready with the report, then we'll again meet the states. Parallelly, we are also signing the memorandum of understanding with many states. In fact, hopefully within next few weeks, we have completed signing of MOUs with almost all the states, important states in India, who are going ahead with the reforms process. We are also willing to give them some assistance. Current year, we'll be able to give them about 3,000 crores of assistance from Accelerated Power Development Program, which last year was restricted to 2,000 crores. And as the Finance Minister as well as the Deputy Chairman Planning Commission has already announced, that outlays can be increased even higher if the amounts are necessary and the reforms are going to take place. But what is really hindering the reform is availability of money. So that also will be taken care of. So hopefully this process of reform now will be taken forward.
Is there any incentive that you plan to give to the disciplined states?
Yes, there will be number of incentives. In fact, we are also giving assistance from budget. We are also willing to give them additional capacity creation in that state from central funding. We are also thinking of giving them additional power from unallocated source.
So Enron has, put the whole episode in controversy state. So what are the further plans you have for the FDI in the power sector?
FDI in power sector is really coming in, and as I was trying to say, that our target of 100,000 megawatt of power, additional capacity that we'll really need in the country will be definitely be doable. In fact, we have strategies for that. And in any case, that is possible with 20,000 capacity created from NTPC. There is 20,000 which is coming from hydro. There is 10,000 additional 12,000 capacity that will come from repairs and modernization of plants. There is at least 15 to 20,000 which come from renewable and nuclear put together. So, and then demand side management. And this is not something which therefore is, and states, the state sector, states also will be able to generate from their own sector at least 25,000 megawatts of power within next 10 to 12 years time. So this is not, capacity is a serious problem. In any case, the foreign direct investment is not something which is any adversely affected, which will also come in.
Mr. Prabhu, are you considering an offer of DTC?
Sorry,
Are you considering an offer of double power?
what is that?
Considering an offer of
No, what is that offer?
What is that offer?
That's buying the plant.
Sorry,
Apparently, this DTC has offered the center that is to buy the plant.
buy the plant. I have not heard this offer at all. That's why I said what offer, because we should know. I think you are privy to the offer which I am not. Sorry?
When do we expect the Godbole committee?
Sorry?
When can we expect the Godbole committee report,
Which is appointed by the state government. The state government will answer this.
I think